The Other Side of Fear, a Backpacker's Memoir by Jenni Reavis. Unhidden Heroines Series, Book 1, Chapter 10, The Birth of My First Business. Things sailed along for a steady year. I took classes and picked up extra shifts. My dad and his new wife got a new SUV, so I took over the loan on their Jeep Liberty they had for sale. It was my first new vehicle and also my first time having a monthly vehicle payment. I didn't feel comfortable financially between the mortgage payment, car payment, and other bills. My salary was overstretched, but having a steady income and home, I was stable in another way. I had earned a 4.0 in school in spite of what I was suffering through. I had stuck in school and I felt like I was climbing my way out of a hole by staying away from drugs. I started going out with a guy who came into my store often just to see me throughout the week, and I finally gave in to his invitations to come to church with him. I was willing to give it a chance, hoping to have some kind of refuge from the storm that still brewed deeply within and reared its ugly head during rare moments. I actually stopped long enough to be still. Alone. Being in a Latino church with him, with everything in Spanish, and by meeting Latino families from different Spanish-speaking countries, kept me connected to that place within me where soul fire burned. It wasn't nearly as bright anymore, more like an ember with a faint glow, but I couldn't let it go out. Things at work seemed really good. I loved the challenges that came with management, and I loved my work family. Amanda, Candy, and Morgan, hello! I developed friendships with regular customers like Judy and Angela, hey girl, David, Ron, Danny, and Wanda, who came in every day. I had a set schedule which made it possible to be consistent with my class schedule. For the first time in my life, I had a set schedule, a set salary, and a personal environment to call home that empowered me to be successful. My regular customers and my team members at work were my family. My mortgage payment had slowly crept up because of my homeowner's insurance premium, so to make up for it, I rented out the back room in my house to one of the girls who worked for me on my shifts. Hey Morgan! She had a newborn baby and needed an economic place to go so that she could get away from the toxic relationship with her baby daddy. We had a lot of fun and formed a friendship that would last over our lifetimes. Things were flowing seamlessly until my boss started sexually harassing me. At first, he made subtle comments that I thought were a misunderstanding. I had maintained my habit of going for long walks and jogs in the morning before work. Even with people all around, he would say, "I love it when you wear those khaki shorts," just softly enough so that no one else could hear it, or "those jogs are really paying off." One time, when our truck came in, he told me I was the only one he trusted to put away the big stuff in the back room. I caught him lurking in the shadows, watching me climb up and down a stool to organize the top shelf. He told me he intentionally did that so he could watch me stand on my tippy toes. The last straw was after a 10-hour shift one Sunday night. I was ready to get home and study for an exam I had the next day at noon. A new night employee no-showed their shift. Under store policy, it was always the store manager's responsibility to cover no-shows. But when I called my boss, he told me that he would not come in. He informed me he would arrive at his normal time at 6 a.m., and I had two options. One, I could stay to cover the shift myself, or two, I could leave the night manager to fend for himself. I chose to stay because I did not have the heart to put a member of my work family in a dangerous situation of covering a night shift by himself. I knew something big needed to change, but I wasn't sure exactly what to do. When my boss arrived at 6 a.m. for his usual Monday morning shift, he had that week's schedule ready. He had changed my hours, putting me on the schedule literally for that same Monday, meaning I would go to class, take my exam, hope for some kind of nap, and have to come back the same afternoon. He also had changed my schedule for the rest of the week, making it impossible to attend classes. That's when the camel's back broke. We had this full-blown argument in front of other work members and customers, and everyone was quietly gawking, waiting to see what would happen. The show's grand finale was me saying, "Go fuck yourself," and sailing my middle finger over my shoulder as I grabbed my belongings and walked out the back door. I sat in the Jeep, stunned, enraged at the situation. When I woke up the next day, I had free time for the first time in a long time. I had been living in my house for a year by then, and not once had I ever had time to just sit on my back patio to enjoy my morning coffee. Shit, I had quit my job. I had a mortgage payment and a car payment to make. My management salary wasn't great, but it was more than I would make starting a new position elsewhere. I already barely made ends meet. I decided to take a couple of days to thoroughly clean my house, take a bubble bath, and just be still. Actually, I realized I had been working hard for 10 years of my life, since I was 15. I hadn't ever taken days just for me, except those magical weeks I was abroad, alone, bubbling over with sacred soul fire. Even though I had been in a more stable situation than ever before, was it really? Oklahoma is an at-will employment state, which means someone can get fired at any time for any reason. I had been working so hard for so long, investing my time and talent into the success of others. By the time I left on cue, I'd been dating and attending church with Jose for a few months. While I was enjoying a moment of freedom with my first day off, my text notification sounded. Now was a good time as any to tell him everything, so he came over for coffee. "We could start a lawn business," he said brilliantly. He worked in retail but pointed out that he could help on his days off, keep his income from his day job, and I could do the full-time part of the lawn care business as the owner. Growing up, I had always loved working outside and getting dirty. I decided I would take the leap. "We want to start a lawn business," I announced to Ron as we walked in. Ron owned a lawn shop a couple of streets down from where I worked at the gas station. He was one of my regular customers. He stood there studying me for a second, surprised at my news. "You're off in the middle of the week and you want to launch a new business. Does this have anything to do with why I haven't seen you at the store in the past few days?" I didn't see any purpose in investing energy in talking about old shit. I don't like to gossip anyway. It was old and none of it mattered. I had to go forward, and I told him just that. "But do you have any customers?" he asked. I didn't feel like I owed anyone any more information. "Look, I'm not here for opinions. You sell lawn equipment. That's what I need. Can you help me, or can you send to someone who can?" He started to laugh. "A woman who doesn't take shit from anyone, I love it. Let me run your store credit to see if you qualify for a Toro card." All the financing for the business would have to come through me. Jose had no credit and no savings. Toro was the brand name of a commercial lawn equipment company. He ran my info through the computer and reported that I had a $10,000 limit on a Toro card, and since I was a first-time buyer, my balance was interest-free for a year. He pointed out that my Jeep had a hitch that could pull a lawn trailer. My God, my universe was on fire. Jose picked out all the equipment we would need to start, which we would store safely there until we got a trailer. At Lowe's, we discovered we could also open a line of credit with the store, one which was large enough to purchase everything else we needed, that Ron didn't sell. A shed, tools, and a lawn trailer. This morning, I was drinking coffee on my back patio, and now, a couple of hours later, I was a business owner. My mom did some graphic art jobs on the side, so I asked her to make flyers in vibrant neon colors that had my business name and cell phone number on it. "Jenni, does this have anything to do with why you weren't at work on a weekday afternoon?" The next day, she brought a box of flyers. I was so proud of those flyers. "Jenni's Lawn Care," they read, with my cell phone number and services offered. Jose brought his friend Nico over to help build a big gate in the fence that opened up to a cul-de-sac and a shed where we would store all of our equipment and tools. Jose suggested that he just move in, since his day job could help cover household expenses while we built our business. I gave him the green light to do it, although there was a sinking feeling in my gut that told me something was not right. I'd had several red flags with him, none of which I had heeded. I did a great job at explaining them away, but not a better job than he did. I figured I was overthinking it and decided to be positive and hope for the best. I was able to finish spring semester and ease into our first lawn season, which started slow but then exploded overnight. It was as if everyone opened their lawn flyers from their doors at the same time and wanted a bid. I had no idea how to bid jobs or how to run this business, but we were in it. It was time to learn everything one step at a time. The summer flew by in a haze of sweat, blood, and tears.